Assalamualaikum and good day to Prof. Madya, Dr. Lim, Chichi and all the audience. Before I begin, let me introduce myself and my group members. My name is Zaya Nur Aziati binti Abdul Kahar along with Kamal Ezudin bin Zainul Abidin, Nuri Izzah binti Taufiq Fifaldi and Ermi Suryati binti Sulaiman. We are from Group 3 and in this video, we will present and explain about Highland Towers tragedy in 1993.
Our group will talk about the Highland Tower incident back in 1993. Highland Tower was a luxury apartment located in Group-3, Selangor, and it was built in between 1974 and 1982. Highland Tower consists of 3 blocks and was occupied by middle-income families and expatriates. 28 years ago, things turned out tragically for the Highland Tower as one of its buildings collapsed. There are at least 3 main reasons for the collapse, which is land clearing, heavy rain, and flood.
I would like to concentrate more on peril versus hazard that happened in the Highland Tower tragedy in 1993. In this tragic tragedy of Highland Tower, the peril is a landslide that caused the collapse of Block 1. On the official report, 48 deaths and the related residents were forced the evacuation of the remaining 2 blocks for their safety. As a result of this tragedy, the remaining blocks, which are Block 2 and Block 3, were evacuated, resulting in theft and vandalism. After that, we move to hazard. In this tragedy, the physical hazard is because of structural failure. It is because of the soil that became exposed to land erosion due to the clearance of trees, resulting all of the excess water, mineral debris, sand and silt from the stream and the construction site were too much for the piping to handle and causing Block 1 to absorb the additional water. Based on the report, monsoon season in Malaysia had every year, which started from November to December, that produced extreme rainfall that can result in flood and landslide. Therefore, after 10 days of heavy rain, Block 1 of Highland Tower collapsed. Besides that, a geologist from the National University of Malaysia, or well known as UKM, which is Professor Dr. Ibrahim Homo, believed that the soil is not a strong rock, but that we mix with sand. And then I will go on to highlight what I see as the points of hazard is moral hazard. Moral hazard in this tragic incident of Highland Tower is identified when those with high economic or social status are proud to live there, so they bought luxury properties in the areas as a long-term investment. Whether they realize it or not, it will harm themselves and their family members. After that, I will be looking at legal hazard. So, in Highland Tower incident, a legal hazard occurred when there was no slop monitoring by the Ampang Jaya Municipal Council, or well known as MPAJ. So, the developers made decision to develop on scale 3 or 4 slopes, claim that they would use the most up-to-date slope buffer technology, resulting the slopes of the hills are directed extremely and the trees covering the earth are not well maintained. The bad parts happen when the Selangor state government cannot cancel the development contract that has been given to the developers because it involves legal implication. The developers will undoubtedly sue the authorities. Unfortunately, they also force the politician to push the district officers.
Personal risks are any uncertainties that cause personal loss or cost in something valuable. The Highland Tower incident took 48 lives. This caused personal loss to the families and friends of the dead. Everyone will feel unhappy and sad dealing with the death of people they love.
There is 2 types of commercial risk that I do the research. First is property risk. Highland Tower building, which is under the responsibilities of M Finance Berhad, Highlands Properties Sdn Berhad, Tropic Development Sdn Berhad, Metrolux Sdn Berhad and MBF Property Services Sdn Berhad collapsed due to the heavy rain. After 10 days of continuous rain, landslides destroyed Block 1 of the Highland Towers on December 11, 1993. The incident has had a negative impact, which is reducing the property values and resulting in the closure of the surrounding area. Ampang Jaya Municipal Council MPAJ is liable for failing to take reasonable care, skill and diligence to ensure that the plans submitted are compatible with the socio-technical condition for residential development. MPAJ also failed to ensure that adequate drainage and rubble walls were provided for construction activities prior to issuing the certificate of fitness and after construction had taken place. Second is liability risk. On October 15, 1994, 6 residents of Highland Tower filed filed a lawsuit against the developers of the building and their associates. More than 1.5 million ringgit in damages were sought in the lawsuit for losses in property and damage to their property. The building's developers and architects were sued for their alleged negligence in the construction process. 3 years after the tragedy, 73 purchasers and owners of Block 2 and 3 filed a lawsuit against 10 defendants. M Finance Berhad agreed to pay the compensation of 52 million ringgit in exchange for dismissing all claims against Highland Properties Sdn Berhad and the developer of Highland Towers in August 2004.
I will present about the burden of risks on society. Firstly, about the loss of certain goods and service. On 11 December 1993, the tragedy saw of block of condominium Block 1 collapse to the ground around about 1:30 p.m. This collapse incident has caused much destruction to the property of the residents living in the block. The collapse of the building has caused 100% destruction and caused residents to lose their home and all the belongings they own. The families and the occupants residing in the Block 2 and Block 3 who were ordered to evacuate immediately filed a suit against the developer for their losses of around 30 to 35 million ringgit and they won the compensation. Secondly, for about worry and fear, according to the Hilton Lee, a bank manager of Sosa Abraham, was still traumatized when he heard the loud noises suddenly as it reminded again of the moment of the building collapsing. The people who live near the building also moved out of the residential areas because they were worried that two buildings, namely Block 2 and Block 3, who would collapse like what happened in Block 1. The vacancy of the building has caused criminal cases and increase in the area as it became a hiding place for criminals such as robbers and drug addicts. Nearby residents want the two Highland Tower building demolished because as long as the building is still empty, it will be location for them to hide. For example, on April 12, 2016, police shot dead 3 of 6 criminals believed that have been robbed in a raid conducted in the condominiums block. The incident has added to the fears and anxiety of the community.
The Highland Tower incident is a dreadful incident. Of course, we do not want this to happen again. In technique for managing risk, there are 2 steps: risk control and risk financing. Highland Tower collapsed because the foundation of Block 1 was destroyed by flood. Before the Highland Tower was built, there was a river flowing nearby which were observed endangering the construction site. Therefore, a pipe system was laid out. This technique is called prevention. It reduces the frequency of a flood to happen. However, a better pipe system could have been laid out. Either way, we could still learn a lesson from this incident.
So, to conclude this case is Highland Tower was built at the hillside of Taman Hillview in Ulu Kelang, Selangor in between 1974 to 1982. This grand apartment consists of 3 12-story buildings, namely Block 1, Block 2 and Block 3. 5 content has been described in detail related to incidents of the collapse of the Highland Tower buildings, which is Pearl versus Hazard, personal rates, commercial rates, burdens of risks on society, and techniques for managing risks.
That's all from us. Thank you so much for your time to watch our presentation. Have a nice day.